Janju Baldo Dani Gabzoch Dagi Shuje Gibe Sanam Gin Drala Benjere Zangin Drobara Sho. Okay. Mandala. Zaji Begi Joji Medo Dama Jida Linje Ninde Gemba De Zangye Jindo Mede Mewayi Drugun Lamda Jinla Jebara Sho Idama Guru Ran Medala Gamni Yandaya. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, Tibuchila.
Hi, good morning, Ran. Yeah.
Good morning.
So, what we will be talking, the book that we are reading, as we all know, is The Words of My Perfect Master, or Words of My Perfect Teacher by Pedro Rinpoche. And the current chapter that we are covering is known as the refuge, taking refuge. So we are at the last stage of taking refuge, and so we will go through that. If you have the English book, it's on page number 189 and paragraph 3. So taking refuge. there is the story of the man who covers the Buddha statue with a shoe. There's the one who puts the statue of a Buddha on a cave, and then another guy comes and covers it with the shoe, and another guy comes and removes the shoe. So we cleared that story last week. So as before, please set your motivation to the Bodhisattva's motivation or the Mahayana motivation, which is to dedicate or to set your motivation that the Dharma session that we are engaging today is for the benefit of all the sentient beings. Let's make sure that you have no self-centered attitude, no selfish attitude here, that you are doing this, the whole thing, to gain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So the book, Words of My Perfect Teacher, is in the messages in the chat. So you can download it there. It's page number 188. So taking refuge. So we are covering the benefits of taking refuge. So by taking refuge, one is so there's so many benefits there by taking refuge. So here, when we say taking refuge is to devote yourself fully, commit yourself fully to the triple gem, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So that is known as taking refuge. So normally, when we have to escape from something, when we are running from something, then we would go to someone or some place and take refuge there. So here the same principle applies, because we are running from the pain or the suffering of samsara. Not running away, but like running in the sense that we are in samsara. As long as we are in samsara, it's filled with pain and suffering. So in order to escape that, we take refuge in someone who has actually gone out of samsara, and that is the Buddha. And through his teaching of the Dharma and with the fellowship of the Sangha, we are able to liberate ourselves from the samsara. And so therefore, taking refuge in the Triple Gem is essential. So page 188. So we are reading, by taking refuge, you distance yourself from all the negative actions. Taking refuge in the three jewels with sincere and intense faith reduces and exhausts even the evil actions you have already accumulated in the past. So if you remember, the 3 do's and the 3 don'ts after taking refuge, the 3 things that you should be doing after taking refuge in the Buddha, 3 things you should be avoiding after taking refuge in the Dharma, the 3 things with the Sangha, etc. So there are 6 things to follow, 3 things to follow and 3 things to avoid. So if you keep those, if you are familiar with that, then you know by taking refuge in the triple gem will actually keep you away from forthcoming negative activities. So whatever negativity that you have done in the past that you have to purify through other means, but the negative actions in the future, prospective negative actions will be avoided through taking refuge in the triple gem. And so there are some examples here. One is the story of King Ajatasattu. So he was he killed his father. His father was the king, and in order to become the king, the prince killed his father. And so there was a long story. So at the end of, at the very end, he regretted and he took refuge in the triple gem through Buddha's guidance. And because of that, even though he did what is known as one of the 5 heinous crimes, killing your father, your mother, arahat, hurting Buddha, and creating schism, creating division within the monastic sangha. So the 5 heinous crime he did the first one, which is to kill your father, a fratricide. So by doing that, he was bound to go to hell without any retribution, without any immediation, directly to hell after death, which he did. But because of the merit through which he took refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly, so he was to stay in the hell realm for only 1 week, and then he was able to come out to escape hell realm after that. So that is one story. Another story is that of the Buddha's own cousin, Devadatta, who did a few of the 5 heinous crimes by hurting enlightened being, the Buddha, etc. And he was also bound to go to the hell realm, and he did, but he was able to recover quickly, and then become to be born as a human being, human in the human realm, and to study and practice, and then to become an arhat in the future realm, in the future lives. Now, due to his devotion to the triple gem. So the reason behind that is no matter. So the way practicing is to progress, to escape samsara, to think of samsara as a mirage, something that is illusory, all the way around. So nothing is real as it appears to be, and so to escape samsara, to get out of samsara, not escape as in to flee, but to like really get out of samsara, to be freed from samsara, to be liberated from samsara, no matter how much sort of a renunciation do you have. Renunciation is very important to come out of samsara, essential to become out of samsara, to liberate from oneself from samsara, but no matter how sincere your renunciation is, how strong your renunciation is, if you do not have anything to lean on to, such as the triple gem, then the journey is very difficult, very, very difficult. So your mind will always play tricks on you. All the appearances, meaning everything that is out there, is always so seductive, so attractive. It always distracts us through different forms and different fates. It distracts us, and the distractions are so attractive, and the mind is so gullible, and our thoughts are so quick like a chewing gum. So it sticks to everything that pops up out there. All the appearances that pops up out there, the mind sticks to that like a chewing gum. And so by doing so for that reason, there are more trigger for us to to more things out there to trigger us to do negative things than to do positive things. And by those things will trigger us to do negative things. And by doing negative things, when we do something, we actually commit to an action, and that is karma. So karma basically means action. So when we follow a negative thought and do likewise, then we are doing a negative action, and negative action or bad karma, negative karma has negative result. So therefore, we are always stuck up in the cyclic, the samsara, the cyclic existence. Or samsara is known as a cycle because it always goes round and round and round, because we are repeating the same mistake that we have been that have thrown us into samsara in the first place. So as long as we do not change our habit, our habitual actions, then we will always be stuck here in this mirage. So therefore, we need to have something to rely on, something to take refuge onto, and that is the triple gem. And there is a saying that demons particularly hate those who persevere in practice. So demons here refer to inner demon, not an external demon with fangs and whatnot, but actually your own mind. So your own mind can play many different roles to drag you down, to drag you down and to tether you, to let you not go free. So therefore, when such things come, devotion to the triple gem will be very helpful. And so there's another saying that the more intense the practice is, the more intense the demons will be. So the more you try to practice patience, the more you try to practice compassion, the more you try to, we always talk about practicing compassion, love, patience, all these things, all the virtues. But the more you try to do it, the harder it gets, because of the demons. So here, demon does not imply to external demons, but your own mind. So your own mind start to play the role of a devil's advocate. In English we say devil's advocate. So there's no actual. We're not talking about an actual devil out there, but our mind, be playing a sort of a critical role, sort of. Self-doubting and self-criticizing everything that we do, especially when it is something that is against this stream, when we are going upstream. So therefore, the saying of the demons, the more intense the practices, the more intense the demons are. So that is something that we should keep in mind. So in such cases, having strong faith in the triple gem will be helpful, will be very helpful, will be like at the very least, it will be something like a resting place for a very long and arduous journey. So we are going to the next page, page 190. Basically, Pedro Rinpoche is elaborating on what we just read. So he's elaborating as in we are living in the time of decadence. So we are living in degenerate times, and our mind, our action, everything has become much coarser than it has ever been. And so it's easier for us to get distracted, easier for us to get triggered, and etc. I think especially in today's time of internet age, we are so easy to get triggered with everything around us. So easy to get distracted, and So Pedro Rinpoche, when he wrote this book, it's over 100 years ago. So and everything is much more intense now than before. So therefore, the necessity to take refuge in the triple gem, to devote oneself into having refuge in the triple gem is more important than ever. So yeah. And Pedro Rinpoche goes on to say that nowadays householders, family members would, in order to protect themselves and their flocks from diseases and etc., they would receive empowerment, initiation, basically tantric initiations and all these very profound and extensive teachings, and also open up the, who will invite teachers or some lamas who would give mandalas, teachings, empowerments, and open the mandala of this and that deity, and without going, who themselves has not gone through the generational practices and the completional practices, generation stage and the completion stage of the practices. Basically it's the highest yoga tantra practices. So without going through any of the practices themselves, and also not initiating the students through such practices, they would open up the mandalas and other things, just to to induce the family members, the householders, the non-ordained people, and then they would try to perform very extensive rituals, etc., such as performing the red offerings of flesh and blood, and then it would cry like, bring them and kill them, meaning bring the enemies here and kill them. Just you wait, hit them. Basically, because householders are in want of invite some lamas or some teachers who seemingly is very rich in extensive rituals and etc., but may not have the actual background practice of knowledge and experiences in the practice of completion stage, as well as the generational stage practices, etc. And some of them even don't have an good grasping of foundational Buddhist teaching. So without any of those things, then either for the Lama himself or for the householder to invite such lamas to do any extensive practices and rituals is very dangerous. It will bring no good to either of the host or the guest. So therefore, the Pedro Rinpoche says, inviting the wisdom deities to protect worldly beings is like dragging a king off his throne and making him sweep the floor. So one thing the Lama may or may not have the experiences, even if the Lama has to have supposedly has experience in all the tantric practices, to bring the wisdom deities, basically the Buddhas, to do simple tasks for ordinary things in life, such as to have a good house, or to very simple things. So that is like bringing the king down to the roadside and to make him sweep the floor. So that is designated for another person. So the king has to look after the whole kingdom, after the sweeper, after the general, after the singer, after everyone. So the king is like the commander who has to look after everybody, not someone who just goes to the street and sweeps the floor. And so when we ask some lamas to do extensive practices for our household needs, that is basically using, in Tibetan we have a saying, using an axe to kill an ant. So in order to kill an ant, you can just swap it with squash it with your feet. You don't need to bring an axe. So basically what the Pedro Rinpoche is trying to say here is that so for such things, for such necessities, you don't have to do any extensive practices in order to have, there will be so many distractions in our life, so many distractions in the appealing sense and also in the non-appealing sense. So when something very good things are happening out there, you get distracted. When something very bad is happening, you get distracted by your main goal. So when these things happen, instead of doing any extensive activities, extensive ritualistic activities, you can just take refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and by doing so, your mind will settle down. And when your mind settles down, you will be at a better place to make judgments and decide things. And through that, you will be able to get on swiftly, smoothly with your life or activities. So Pedro Rinpoche is a great master. Great master, when I say great master, not just master as a teacher, as a preacher, someone who just talks. So he's like great practitioner. And that's why he's a great master also, right? So a master is a master because he actually practices what he says. If he's just talking something nice things, then he's not necessarily a good master, a great master. So what Pedro Rinpoche is doing here, even though he's talking about refuge, why did he touch on, refuge is something that we start with in the beginning of Buddhist practices. Like when we, as a beginner, we start with, we were taught about how to take refuge, etc. So why did he jump all of a sudden to all the way up there to the intricate mandala practices and intricate practices of the Vajrayana, especially of killing the enemy and all these things, so all the wrathful, extensive practices of the Vajrayana. So the reason he jumps there is because at the time, I think also nowadays too, at that time in Tibet, there is such a widespread, Buddhism is predominantly practiced, widely practiced in Tibet, right? You can say pretty much 99.9% Tibetans were Buddhist at that time. And so when there is so many people who have faith in the Dharma, then there are a lot of people who are gullible, and then people by wearing in the guise of a monastic, in the guise of a monk, or in the guise of a tantric practitioner, etc., they cheat people. That so these things happen. So it does happen nowadays in many. It happens in all religions basically, but Pedro Rinpoche is very much against that. Some people would say like, oh, if someone is doing Dharma or something like a Dharma ritual, then just let them be, right? But Pedro Rinpoche is not like that. If the person who is doing whatever they are doing is seemingly Dharma, but it's against the actual practice of Dharma, then he is totally against that. So basically, those lamas who do all these extensive rituals, so because we cannot see the mind inside the lama, so when the lamas try to do something very extensive, very ritualistic, we get distracted, we get taken away by that, and then we think, oh, that lama is so learned, so experienced, like that. So he was mentioning the activities of such lamas as doing very extensive wrathful practices of killing the enemy, with the in the wrathful practices, and so also so you will see that he mentioned they would goggle their eyes with like saucers and whip themselves into an overwhelming fury. So they would, you will see many lamas who would, and many of people in the religious garb who would, when they are doing some practice, they would, goggle their eyes, meaning their eyes would be something like this, like this. So you see that many times when we try to practice, we close our eyes, and sometimes during meditation, our eyes are like this. It's a form of elevation. It signifies such things, but not necessarily. If just because you do your eyes like that, that doesn't mean you have reached a certain level. Okay, but you will see most of the deities and the peaceful Buddha forms. Their eyes are like halfway closed like this. And so many teacher lamas would like fake such appearances, like they would do their eyes like this. So that's what Pedro Rinpoche was referring to when he said goggling their eyes, as if they have reached some level of samadhi, reached some level of spiritual realization, and then something like that. Okay, so that's what he's referring to. Anyways, so basically, what Pedro Rinpoche was saying is that people just put on pretentious activities to fool other people, especially people who have faith in the Dharma, to their decided and whatever. And so therefore he's very much against that. So he's saying those who wish to want to practice the Dharma, you should be has to have a sound understanding, good foundation of the basic Buddha's the basic principles of Buddha's teaching. So without that, all those so-called highs, yoga tantra, tantric practice, Vajrayana, etc. If you don't have a proper understanding of the basis, then all those become just rituals, external things. Doesn't have anything. It's a hollow thing. It's hollow. It's empty. So it doesn't have any effect on your mental, in your mental struggle, physical struggle, spiritual struggle, life, everything. If you put the principles, if you do not understand and apply the principles of Buddha's teaching, foundational teachings into your life, then it won't be of much help. So all these things will be just rituals, just external hollow shell. And so therefore, that's why he's saying, these kind of all this extensive ritual, etc., should be done only when when you have some understanding of the Buddha's teaching. And then, for those who do not have such, then the best thing is just to take refuge in the Triple Gem. That's the safest thing. You don't have to call any, lamas with big name or anything. None of these things are required. Just have faith in the Buddha, the teacher, the Dharma, his teaching, or the guide, the guidance he gave. Buddha is the guide. The Dharma is the guidance, and Sangha is the people who will read the guidance for you. So basically, the Sangha is your fellow traveler. So you're going for a long, arduous journey. So you will need a guide, you will need a guidebook, and you will need someone to travel with you because it's a long and dangerous journey. And so therefore, only the three things are enough. You don't need any of the other things. So that's what Pedro Rinpoche was saying. So for those who are ready to practice, to dive into highest yoga tantra practice or any kind of higher practices of tantric practices, that's a different story. But for the rest of us, just the Triple Gem is sufficient. So there was some interruptions in the class today, in the Zoom class with the teaching on the refuge. So we are discussing the refuge practice by Pedro Rinpoche, and so there were some disruptions in our Zoom class. I think it has to do something with what I said about His Holiness a couple days ago, or 1 week ago or so. So anyway, that doesn't really matter now. So anyway, I will just continue with my teaching, this morning's teaching. So Pedro Rinpoche's teaching on the refuge. So the book is called the Refuge on the Words of My Perfect Teacher, and we are covering the subject of refuge. So I will just continue from what we left a little earlier. And the Pedro Rinpoche is a so he was saying that by taking refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, one will have some sort of a safe haven to by relying on any extensive and high the tantric yogic practice is good, but you need to have a foundational basis to begin with. So if you don't have a foundational basis to begin with, your practices on the your practices on the so-called highest yoga tantra will not be not be effective enough, not be sufficient enough, so on and so forth. So that's what Pedro Rinpoche was saying. Then, so for those who have not reached that sort of level, that sort of stage, the best is just to take refuge in the triple gem, the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, and that is the best. That is the best form of refuge. That's what Pedro Rinpoche was referring to. And then he was sharing a story of that instead of going to something very extensive and very high sort of yogic practices of tantric ritualistic aspects, so he was saying that tantric ritualistic practices are just that, rituals. If you do not have a sound basis of understanding of the Buddha's teaching, if you do not have a sound foundation of the Buddha's teaching, then everything else is just a ritual. It's just a show. So ask. So he was saying, instead of relying on some lamas who profess to have this and that realization, just take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and other than that, another solution is to ask monks and teachers who have actually pacified and controlled their emotions, their mind, and maybe they have done some 100,000 refuge 100,000 times. So a lama who does not say, I have done this and that meditation, this and that retreat in the cave, but someone who says, oh, I have done 100,000 refuge practices, so maybe that lama is a better option, he was saying. Anyway, so by take refuge in the Buddha Dhamma, by taking refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, you'll be able to purify your past negativities, and also you'll be able to not only purify your past negativities, but also save yourself from potential negative karma in the future as well. So there was a story of a thief. So back in Tibet, when a thief went to steal something from a house, and when he got caught, the owner of the house actually beat up the thief. So he beat him up really bad. But when he was thrashing the thief, he actually recited the refuge lines of I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. And by doing so, when the thief crossed over the bridge, so when he was when he was crossing over the bridge, there were some demons, some demons who was strolling around, who wanted to harm who wanted to harm, of course, anyone who crosses the bridge. And the thief was crossing the bridge, and he was reciting, because he was hurt so badly by the owner, and the only thing that the owner keeps saying when he was thrashing the thief was I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. So because of that, when he was walking, the thief kept saying, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. That's the only word that thief can mutter, that the thief can recite. And when he was because he was reciting the I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha mantra, all the demons around were unable to harm the thief. So the story goes like that. So to close the chapter, there was one quotation from the Sutra of the Immaculate Sutra, which says, if all the merit of taking refuge were to take a physical form, the whole of space entirely filled would not be enough to contain it. So refuge is an action, is a form of mind, is a mental activity, it's a verbal activity. It can also be a physical activity when you take refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha from the bottom of your heart, and then recite the mantra, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dhamma Sangha, like that, and also do the prostration. So when you do that, you are doing refuge in the in threefold form, physically, mentally, and verbally. And also the condensed transcendent wisdom sutra says that if the merit of taking refuge took form, all the three worlds could never contain it. Could the vast amount of water in all the great oceans ever be measured with the quarter pint scoop? Again, the sutra of the heart of the sun says that he who has made the Buddha his refuge cannot be killed by 10 million demons, though he transgress his vows or be tormented in mind. It is certain that he will go beyond rebirth. So beyond rebirth actually refers to beyond samsara, because as long as we are in samsara, we are taking rebirth in an uncontrolled manner. Meaning, when we take rebirth in samsara, when we are born in samsara, we have no control over it. We are born in samsara without any control. But by taking refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, we will be able to cut the ties with samsaric existence. So he was saying that devote yourself earnestly, therefore, to taking refuge, the basis of all Dharma practices, for its benefits are immeasurable. So this concludes the teaching, the class for today, which is on the refuge. So the refuge chapter is complete today. And so the next class would be on chapter number 2, which is arousing bodhicitta, the root of the great vehicle of the Mahayana practice. So we will do that next week. So today we will conclude here and dedicate our merits that we have accumulated today for the benefit of all sentient beings, for the benefit of all the great masters, teachers, to have a long life, to a healthy life, and then to for all the sentient beings. Yawandi nyulunda lama sanye drogyo nen drowa jekyang malu banki ye sala bebara shon chanjo zemjo rembo jema ye banama ye yurosh keba nyamba meba yang kone bondo bewara shon kari rabe gorbe shingamande pendan dewa malu jome Jiri sewa tenzi nyamzo shabe sede baldo den gyoro ji pama semje tamje dedan den gyoro nyendro tamje dado dongwa da chanjo zemba gana sosho deda kunye me lam jogyo ji Thank you.